How could you leave your husband for this little piece of crap? The FBI agent asked, putting handcuffs on my cheating wife. She replied, I guess I've always liked bad boys. He laughed. You mean that little coward with wet pants? You were married to one of the toughest FBI agents, a man with more bravery awards than most agents hope to get in their entire careers. And you wanted a bad boy? I had spent the last 12 years putting my life on the line for my country. 12 years of taking down drug cartels, dismantling human trafficking rings, and walking into situations where most men wouldn't last a minute. I had medals, scars, and a reputation in the FBI as the guy who got things done no matter how dangerous. And yet the one battle I never saw coming was the one inside my own home. It started with a nagging suspicion. Late nights at the office, a sudden interest in her appearance. Her phone always turned face down. Her texts answered with the kind of urgency she never had for me anymore, but I told myself I was imagining things. Jessica was my wife, the woman who swore to love me until death. Then one night, fate intervened. I was supposed to be gone on an undercover operation for a week. A last-minute change of plans brought me home early. I parked a few houses down, wanting to surprise her. Instead, I was the one who got the surprise. Through the living room window, I saw them. Jessica and some young, greasy-haired punk wrapped around each other like teenagers. I could hear them laughing through the thin walls. His hands were all over her, and she was whispering something in his ear, her voice sultry, teasing. Rage burned through me, but I didn't kick down the door like I wanted to. No, that was too easy, too quick. I had spent years taking down criminals who thought they were untouchable. My wife? She thought she could humiliate me and walk away without consequences. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I pulled out my phone and made a call. Hey Mike, I said to my old partner. You still looking for that lowlife running guns for the cartel? Mike hesitated. Yeah, why? Because I think I just found him, I said, watching the punk kiss my wife's neck. And I'm about to deliver him right into your hands. Jessica wanted a bad boy. She was about to find out what that really meant. I stood outside my own home, my grip tightening around my phone as I watched my wife laugh with the punk she'd thrown everything away for. This wasn't just betrayal. It was stupidity. I took a deep breath, forcing my emotions into submission. I had spent years controlling my anger in high-stakes operations, and I wasn't about to lose control now. Jessica thought she was playing a game, but she had no idea I was about to flip the board. Mike's voice crackled through the phone. You're telling me that little bastard is Liam Carter? The same idiot running guns for the cartel? That's right, I said, my voice calm despite the fury boiling inside me. And right now, he's inside my house with my wife. There was a pause. Then Mike let out a low whistle. Damn. You want me to send a team? No, I said. Not yet. I want him comfortable. I want him to think he's won. A plan was already forming in my mind. If Jessica wanted a bad boy, she was about to learn exactly what that meant. But first, I had to play my part. I walked up to my front door, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. Jessica and Liam were tangled on the couch, her shirt half unbuttoned, his hand creeping under her skirt. The moment she saw me, her eyes went wide, and she scrambled to sit up, stammering, What are you doing here? Liam, on the other hand, just smirked. The cocky little bastard didn't even have the decency to look guilty. He sat back, one arm draped over the couch like he owned the place. Guess your trip got cut short, huh? I forced a grin, though every fiber of my being wanted to knock his teeth in. Yeah, funny how life works. Jessica was still frozen, her face pale. Babe, I held up a hand, cutting her off. Save it. Then I turned to Liam. You drink whiskey, Carter? His smirk widened. Hell yeah. Good. I walked to the liquor cabinet, my movements casual. Let's have a drink man to man. Jessica's eyes darted between us. She knew me well enough to sense something was off. But Liam? He thought he was invincible. He had no idea that in less than 24 hours, he'd be in handcuffs. Or worse. I poured 2 glasses, slid one toward him, and clinked mine against his. to bad decisions. Liam laughed and knocked back his drink. Jessica hesitated. Babe, what's going on? I turned to her, my smile sharp. Nothing, sweetheart. I'm just getting to know your new boyfriend. Because by tomorrow, his life as he knew it would be over. Liam Carter thought he was untouchable. That smirk on his face, the way he lounged in my home like he belonged there, it made my blood boil. But I wasn't a man who let emotions cloud my judgment. No, I was patient. Precise. Jessica fidgeted next to him, her gaze darting between us. She knew something was wrong. She had seen me handle criminals before, had watched me take down men twice Liam's size with nothing but my fists and strategy. Yet in her arrogance, she had convinced herself I would just walk away. She had no idea what was coming. Liam downed his whiskey in one gulp and leaned forward. So, you an FBI agent or something? I let out a slow chuckle. Something like that. His smirk widened. Damn, Jessica. You really married a cop? No wonder you wanted to have some fun. Jessica gave a nervous laugh, but she wasn't fooling anyone. She could feel the shift in the air. I stood up, stretching my arms like I didn't have a care in the world. You know, Carter, you've got a reputation. Gun running, money laundering, that's a dangerous business. Liam shrugged. Maybe, but it pays well. Yeah. I turned to Jessica. And what about you, sweetheart? Did it pay well? She flinched at my words, her hands gripping the edge of the couch. It's not like that. I cut her off with a look. Save it. Then I turned back to Liam. You like fast cars? Liam grinned. Who doesn't? Then you'll love the one waiting for you outside. Liam raised an eyebrow, but curiosity won over caution. He stood, stretching like a man with no worries, then walked to the door. Jessica hesitated, then followed him, throwing me another wary glance. Outside, parked in my driveway, was a sleek black Dodge Charger. Bulletproof windows, reinforced steel body, courtesy of the FBI's Confiscated Assets Division. Liam whistled. Damn. This yours? Nope. I tossed him the keys. It's yours. He caught them, confused. What? I clapped him on the shoulder. Consider it a gift for taking such good care of my wife. Jessica sucked in a sharp breath. Alex. But Liam, he was too busy admiring the car to realize the noose tightening around his neck. Hell yeah, he said, grinning. Didn't know you were this cool, man. I smirked. Take it for a spin. He didn't need to be told twice. He climbed in, revved the engine, and peeled out of the driveway, leaving behind a trail of tire marks. Jessica turned to me, her face pale. What did you do? I checked my watch. Oh, nothing much. Just made sure your new boyfriend is driving a car loaded with enough illegal evidence to put him away for 20 years. Jessica's eyes widened in horror. You wouldn't? I gave her a cold smile. I would. A second later, my phone buzzed. Mike, car intercepted. Carter's in cuffs, heading to processing. I slid my phone into my pocket and exhaled slowly. The first part was done. Liam was finished. Now it was Jessica's turn. Jessica stood frozen in the driveway, her face pale as reality crashed down on her. Liam Carter, the man she had thrown away our marriage for, was already in handcuffs. What happens now? She asked, her voice unsteady. I stared at her for a long moment, taking in the woman I had once trusted, once loved. Now, all I saw was someone who had chosen recklessness over loyalty, throwing away everything for the cheap thrill of a bad boy. You really have to ask? I said, my voice calm but laced with something colder. Jessica swallowed. He'll be okay, right? I mean, you wouldn't... I cut her off with a humorless chuckle. No, Jessica, he won't be okay. Her lips trembled. Alex, please. I stepped forward, watching as she instinctively took a step back. Did you think this was a game? That I'd just walk away and let you play house with a criminal? She opened her mouth, but no words came. You know what's funny? I continued. You thought you were trading up. You wanted a bad boy, someone dangerous, exciting. And now look at him. Right about now, he's probably pissing himself in an interrogation room. Jessica's breaths came faster, her panic creeping in. You didn't mean to get caught, I corrected. That's what you didn't mean. Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't move me. She wasn't crying out of guilt. She was crying because she knew the fallout was just beginning. You didn't just cheat on me, I said. You chose a known felon. You let him into my house, spent my money on him, threw away years of trust for nothing more than a cheap thrill. And now? Now you have nothing. Her hands clenched into fists. That's not fair. You set him up. I smiled. He set himself up. I just made sure he finally faced the consequences. She wiped at her eyes, shaking her head. So what now? You ruin my life too? I tilted my head. No, Jessica. You did that all on your own. She blinked. What do you mean? I reached into my pocket and pulled out an envelope. This is proof of every single fraudulent charge you made on our joint account. Turns out buying gifts for your criminal boyfriend with my money? That's illegal. She went completely still. You wouldn't? I smirked. I would. Her legs wobbled, and she leaned against the car. Alex, please. I made a mistake. I sighed and tossed the envelope onto the hood of the car. You wanted a bad boy, Jessica. Congratulations. Now you get to see what happens when you gamble and lose. A second later, my phone buzzed. Mike, her accounts are frozen. Credit cards declined. Cars getting repossessed in an hour. She's got nothing left. Jessica's phone vibrated in her hand. She fumbled to check it, her expression twisting in horror. I turned, walking away without looking back. She had made her choice. Now, she'd live with it. Jessica stood there, gripping her phone as if holding it tighter would stop her world from crumbling. Her face contorted in disbelief as notification after notification flashed across the screen. Credit cards declined. Accounts frozen. Auto payment failures. She looked up, her breath shallow. You can't do this. I turned back, raising an eyebrow. I already did. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through her banking app, her balance reading courants. Alex, she whispered. Please, let's talk, I sighed, stepping closer, my voice calm but firm. Talk? Like how you talked to Liam when you thought I was out of town? Like how you talked about me behind my back, laughing about how pathetic I was for being loyal while you were screwing a criminal? She flinched at my words, but I wasn't finished. You want to talk now? When you have nothing left? When the reality of your choices is finally hitting you? I let out a bitter chuckle. Jessica, you never wanted to talk before. Why start now? Tears welled in her eyes. I messed up, okay? But you don't have to destroy me. I folded my arms, watching her. No, Jessica. You destroyed yourself. She wiped at her tears, trying to compose herself. I can fix this. I just need time to figure things out. I tilted my head. Time, I pulled out my phone and tapped a few buttons. You don't have much of that either. Right on cue, a tow truck turned onto our street. It stopped at the curb, and a uniformed man stepped out, clipboard in hand. Jessica Carter? He asked. Jessica looked at him confused. Who are you? Ma'am, this vehicle is being repossessed. Her face went ghost white. No. This is a mistake. The man glanced at his clipboard. No mistake. Missed payments. Card declined. Bank authorized a repossession. Jessica turned to me in shock. You? I gave her a slow, knowing nod. Yeah. That's what happens when you spend money that isn't yours. She watched in horror as the man secured the car and started towing it away. The reality was sinking in fast. Her lifestyle, her comforts, everything she thought was untouchable was slipping from her grasp. She turned back to me, her voice breaking. Where am I supposed to go, Alex? I shrugged. Not my problem. Her eyes darted around, desperate. Please, I don't have anyone else. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's the funny thing about betrayal. It isolates you. She took a shaky step forward. "I'll do anything. Just don't throw me away like this." I looked at her for a long moment, then leaned in close. "That's exactly what you did to me." I turned and walked away. Jessica stood alone on the driveway, watching her world collapse around her. And for the first time, she realized there was no way out. Jessica's breath came in ragged gasps as she stood there, watching the tow truck disappear down the street. Her car gone. Her money gone. And worst of all, the one person she thought would always be there had turned his back on her. She turned toward me, her desperation clear. "Alex, please, I don't know what to do." I met her gaze, unflinching. "Figure it out." Tears streaked her face as she shook her head. "You don't mean that." I did. Jessica had spent years playing the perfect wife while sneaking around behind my back. She had mocked my loyalty while chasing after a loser who couldn't even keep himself out of jail. And now that she was suffering the consequences, she expected my sympathy? Not a chance. "Alex," she tried again, stepping toward me. "I made a mistake," I scoffed. "A mistake?" I gestured toward the empty driveway where her car had been. "Jessica, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary. What you did was a choice." She flinched, wrapping her arms around herself as the cold reality of her situation settled in. I have nowhere to go." "Not my problem," she swallowed hard, glancing at the house. "I can't even go inside?" I crossed my arms. "Your name isn't on the deed, Jessica. You never cared to be part of the financial side of things, remember? That was boring." Her lips quivered. "But I'm your wife." I tilted my head. "Not for much longer." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a neatly folded envelope. "Here." She hesitated before taking it, unfolding the paper inside. The moment she realized what she was holding, her knees nearly buckled. A divorce petition," her voice cracked. "Signed and ready." I let that sink in before adding, "You'll notice the terms are generous, considering what you deserve." Her eyes darted over the papers, desperate for anything in her favor, but there was nothing. "I don't even get alimony?" she whispered. I smirked. "You cheated, Jessica. In this state, that means you get nothing." She staggered back, pressing a hand to her chest as if physically wounded. You can't do this," I sighed. "Jessica, you made your choice. You wanted bad boys, right? Well, go find one to take care of you." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "Alex, I love you." I let out a cold laugh. "Jessica, you loved what I provided. You loved the security, the stability. But love? That requires loyalty." She opened her mouth to protest, but nothing came out. She knew I was right. I stepped past her, walking to the front door. As I reached it, I paused. "Oh, by the way," I turned back, watching as she wiped at her tear-streaked face. "What?" she whispered. "Liam got out of jail this morning," I said casually. "Figured you might want to know." Her head snapped up, eyes wide. "What? What?" I smirked. "Yeah, he's probably looking for you right now." I glanced at the street. "Might want to start walking." She gasped, looking around in pure panic. I stepped inside and shut the door. Jessica was finally alone, and for the first time, she had to face the real consequences of her choices. Jessica stood frozen on the front porch, clutching the divorce papers in her trembling hands. The reality of her situation crashed down on her like a tidal wave. No car, no money, no home. And the cherry on top? Liam, the same bad boy she had thrown her marriage away for, was out of jail. And judging by what I knew about him, he wasn't the type to let things slide. She spun around, her wild eyes searching mine through the window. She raised a hand as if knocking would change anything, as if there was still a sliver of hope that I would take her back. I didn't move. After a long, painful moment, she turned and stepped off the porch, wobbling on those designer heels I had bought her. The same heels she had probably worn for him. Good luck walking in those. I watched as she made her way down the street, clutching her coat tightly against the wind. She had nowhere to go. Her parents had written her off years ago. Her so-called friends would scatter the moment they realized she had nothing left to offer. And Liam? Well, if he had any brains at all, he'd be out looking for her right now. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered the texts, the whispered conversations I had walked in on, the arrogant smirk she had worn when she thought she had outsmarted me. No, she deserved this. And I wasn't done yet. Jessica's descent. Jessica's feet ached, her heels sinking into the cracks of the pavement with every miserable step. She had no phone, no cash, and the only clothes she had were the ones on her back. She had spent years living in luxury, never once imagining that she'd be reduced to this. Wandering the streets, a broken, humiliated mess. She tried calling a friend from a gas station payphone. No answer. Another one. Voicemail. One after another, the women she had once bragged to about her bad boy romance were suddenly unavailable. And then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, a deep, familiar voice came from behind her. Jessica, she stiffened. Her breath hitched as she turned slowly, her stomach twisting into knots. Liam. He leaned against a lamppost, looking disheveled but smug, his sharp eyes scanning her from head to toe. His smirk widened as he took in her appearance. No jewelry, no car keys, no confidence. Looks like you've had a rough day, babe, he drawled. What happened? Your little rich boy finally kick you to the curb? Jessica swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. Liam, I didn't know you were out, he chuckled darkly. Yeah, well, neither did the guy who bailed me out. But let's not talk about that. He pushed off the lamppost and took a slow step toward her. Let's talk about you. She instinctively stepped back. You look nervous, Liam mused, tilting his head. You weren't nervous when you were all over me, were you? Jessica's pulse pounded in her ears. This wasn't the same Liam she had played around with before. This was a man who had been stewing in a jail cell, thinking about how she had left him to rot. And now he was free, and she had nowhere to run. The air inside the FBI office was heavy with unspoken words. Jessica sat in the interrogation room, her wrists bound by cold steel cuffs, her once pristine appearance disheveled. Across the table, I watched her in silence, arms crossed, a mix of disappointment and finality in my gaze. She had lost everything. Her job, her reputation, and now her freedom. The bad boy she had betrayed me for, Liam, had crumbled under pressure the moment the FBI stormed in. He had cut a deal, giving up every name, every illegal operation he had been involved in, and throwing Jessica under the bus in the process. She looked up at me, eyes pleading. You set me up, she whispered, as if she still had some right to accuse me of betrayal. I let out a dry chuckle. No, Jessica. You set yourself up. I just made sure you got exactly what you deserved. Her face twisted with regret, but it was too late. She had chosen her path. Just then, the door opened and the lead agent stepped in. He didn't even spare Jessica a glance as he handed me a file. Your mission's approved. You leave in 24 hours. I nodded, flipping through the pages. It was exactly what I needed. A fresh start. No more looking back. No more ghosts of a failed marriage haunting me. As I stood up, Jessica called out, her voice cracking. Wait, what happens to me now? I looked at her one last time, my expression unreadable. You wanted a bad boy. Now you'll see what it really means to live like one. And with that, I walked away. Jessica would have plenty of time to reflect on her choices behind bars. As for me, my new mission awaited, and this time there was nothing holding me back. Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your take, and if you love jaw-dropping pro-revenge stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like for more thrilling tales you won't want to miss. Every like, share, and subscription means the world to us. It helps us keep bringing you the stories you crave. Your support truly makes a difference. Thank you so much for being part of our community.